Hey folks, welcome back to the Holy Comforter Episcopal Church YouTube Bible study. I'm Jimmy Abbott, the priest here at Holy Comforter, and I have some thoughts and reflections for you on the gospel passage for this Sunday, the third Sunday of Advent. It's taken from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verses 2 through 11. And let's set the stage first by reading a little bit of verse 2. When John heard in prison what the Messiah was doing, time out. John the Baptist has been thrown into prison by Herod. Herod had married his brother's wife, and John was going around telling everybody that that was inappropriate. Herod didn't take too kindly to that message, and therefore has put John into prison. So John sent word by his disciples and said to him, "Are you the one who is to come, or are we to wait for another?" Jesus answered them, "Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, the poor have good news brought to them, and blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me." Jesus is saying, well, what do you think? Look around you. Look at what is being accomplished through my ministry. Do you think I am the one to come, or should you wait for another? The message there is implied that, yes, of course, Jesus is the one, and that they are not to wait for another. Now, a little bit, to go a little bit deeper theologically here. Now, Christians believe that at the end, on the last day, the fancy word for that is the eschaton, that all will be healed, that all will be made right. We believe that at the end, the blind will receive their sight, the lame will walk, the lepers will be cleansed, the deaf will hear, the dead will be raised, the poor will have good news brought to them. So what Jesus is doing then is showing a sign, a symbol of what will happen at the end of all things right now in the middle of history. So Jesus' ministry then is a sign, is a symbol, a glimpse of what God will fully accomplish at the end of all things. Let me put it another way. Oftentimes when I'm talking to children about receiving the Holy Eucharist, I ask, do you and your family ever go to Mexican restaurants? And of course, I mean, it's Houston. There's Tex-Mex everywhere, right? And I say that Holy Communion is like the chips and salsa of the heavenly banquet. Now, you get the chips and salsa at the Tex-Mex place, and they're good. They sustain you a little bit. They sort of maybe take the edge off of your hunger. It's a little bit of a taste of what is to come, but it's not the full meal. In the same way here, I think that what Jesus is doing then is the chips and salsa of the eschaton. That what we see Jesus doing is a sign, is a symbol, a taste of what God will fully do at the end of all things. And it's important then that that ministry is then taken up by the church. And if you think about all the ministries of the church, what we do, this is a lot of it. Think of all our medical ministries, to give sight to the blind, to help the lame walk, to cleanse the lepers. I think of my own wife on her medical mission trips to Guatemala, and this is so much of what they do, and they do it in the name of the Lord Jesus. Yes, because it is a good thing to do now, but also because it's a sign of what God will fully do at the end of days. So, turning that back around to you then is, when have you experienced that sign, that taste, that glimpse of the last day? What was that? What was revealed to you in that moment? What sort of healing or grace did you receive that has given you courage to keep on living in these days while fully expecting, anticipating, waiting, all those great Advent themes, the final things, when God will finally come and make all things right? Again, that is the theme of Advent, this waiting, this expectation, this anticipation, this trust that God will come and return and make all things right, and it will be beautiful and good. And what we see Jesus doing then and what the church does now is but a glimpse of that final promise. So thank you so much for joining me. continued blessings on your Advent journey. I would love to hear from you. Send me an email, jimmy@holycomforterspring.org, or leave a comment here in the comment section.